humble beginning grows into a conglomerate, it leaves behind many lessons for all of us to learn. And the empire I'm talking about has spans across over 20 different industries and has given livelihood to more than 3,500 Sri Lankans. It's a truly homegrown Sri Lankan business, yet crossed international borders. And in the heart of this successful journey is a humble, ordinary man with an extraordinary vision. And today, I'm extraordinarily privileged to have with us Mr. Wegapitiya to go through the journey of LAUGFS Holdings and also the mindset that which made it all possible. Mr. Wegapitiya, welcome to Ambeon Insights.
Thank you.
Mr. Wegapitiya, to start off now, from a humble beginning, and you started off LAUGFS in 1995, and you grew it to become one of the biggest conglomerates in Sri Lanka. And can you tell us how your upbringing has driven you to become an entrepreneur?
I grew up in a humble village environment where resources were limited, but dreams were unlimited. My parents taught me two powerful principles: discipline and responsibility. Discipline comes with your commitment, dedication, and ability to withstand before any challenge. Responsibility comes with your contribution to the environment, to the society, to the mankind, and most importantly, your integrity and ethics. So those two powerful principles are the foundation of me as a person. When you come from an environment where nothing is handed to, you tend to create opportunities rather than wait for it.
Yeah.
So this strong foundation created my entrepreneurial mindset, resilience, long-term thinking, and belief that Sri Lankans can create world-class enterprises and create wealth for the national economy. LAUGFS is an outcome of that belief.
And you started that values has given to you by your parents.
Yes.
Wonderful. And Mr. Wegapitiya, now when you started with freight forwarding and shipping, if I may not mistaken.
Yes.
And now LAUGFS is into spans across 20 different industries. So can I ask you, well, how do you decide which industry to go into and at what time? What gives you that decision?
Diversification didn't happen overnight.
Okay.
It's a 30 years of journey. In 1995, we started as a small but powerful Sri Lankan company. And we created the initial part of our brand, LAUGFS. We use three powerful filters before we engage in any business enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, does it create national or does it fulfill national need? Second filter, does it create long-term economic value? Thirdly, can this be sustainably grow long-term rather than a short-term effort? Mm-hmm. Once we pass these three filters, we get into the business. I never pursue businesses for glamour. I pursue businesses for a purpose and especially building capacities and capabilities for our national economy. Now, in 1995, when we started LAUGFS as a tiny little homegrown enterprise introducing LPG for automobiles, but we knew exactly where we were heading and where we are going to be after 30 years. So that diversification is part of that. Now, if you really look at our brand, collaterals, including the LAUGFS. All that were the component of that vision. So LAUGFS is an acronym of Lanka Autogas Fuel Systems. So it has the Sri Lankan identity, the energy, and then the visionary part of all that together. And we used, if you can see, the background of our national flag to represent that we are a truly patriotic company.
The color, the yellow color.
Yeah.
That's true patriotism.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And when you started, you had the vision for 30 years, you said. So how do you decide like that long-term vision? How do you come up with that kind of a vision?
Vision and long-term perspective is part of the entrepreneurial trait. That every entrepreneur has a long-term vision, even though those were not explicitly stated in the vision statement or mission statement. Every successful entrepreneur, when they embark on a startup, they know exactly where they are heading and what is going to be the end result. So it cannot be explained by making a statement, but we know exactly what are the sectors that we are going to diversify. For example, if you look at energy, we are the only Sri Lankan company for last 75 years, LPG, entered, survived and compete, and also expanded our operation beyond Sri Lanka. So those were all part of the entrepreneurial capabilities.
That's what makes an entrepreneur different, I guess. And so you manage 20 different industries. So as a chairperson, does it take your attention to all different industries, and how do you manage that? Or what are the systems you put in place to make sure that this kind of a large conglomerate, a diverse conglomerate, is well managed?
Diversification is always possible when your governance is strong. And as I mentioned, this diversification didn't happen overnight. It's a 30 years of journey. Now, I do not get into micromanagement. When I started, I was the strategist, I was the implementer, and I was the finance person, all that. But over a period of time, we develop our systems, structures, and processes, and also the governance. Now, when you diversify, you need to strengthen your organization structure. In our company, we have sectors. We have key major sectors, sector heads. We have governance boards. Now, listing our company, we have 3 listed companies are part of the governance. And when you need to inculcate discipline management systems and processes. Once those are in place, the management is not difficult. Today, I do not have to interfere and inquire about a day-to-day operational management. Every company is headed by a CEO and cluster CEOs, and then every company is comprising of independent and non-independent directors, and we have board subcommittees like related party transaction committees, audit committees, investment committees, governance boards, all that. So once those processes are in place, governance is key. Managing a diversified group is not difficult.
So you, as the chairman, you can sleep peacefully at night without getting too much of stress.
That again, it's a skill that you need to develop.
Okay.
You need to understand a fundamental philosophy that prevails in the world. Nothing is permanent. Most of the entrepreneurs that I have seen in the Sri Lankan corporate world, they don't understand. They don't want to believe that things are going to change. And nothing is permanent. Even if you build the world's richest or the best enterprise, One day you have to leave it and go. And that day, nobody will remember you. So therefore, you need to let things go. That include your authority. Lot of entrepreneurs, business leaders, they want to keep everything under their control.
Yes.
But you need to empower capable professional employees or managers to run and manage businesses on their own and empower them to take appropriate decisions. So that's what I do.
Okay. And when it comes to the future of LAUGFS, and now already it has gone about 20 different industries. And if I may ask, what is the next phase of growth in terms of the sectors or the customers? What are the segments that you're looking at in terms of the customer segments and also the industries?
Our future horizons based on 3 areas, segments, if I may say. Number 1 is power and energy. That is where we are going to establish our position, become a strong regional and Sri Lankan energy company and expand our operations to the regional. So make Sri Lanka as an energy hub in the Indian Ocean. That's one segment. Secondly, retail, food and FMCG, where we believe that growth potentials are enormous and we can create sustainable value in those sectors. Thirdly, high value manufacturing, not only for Sri Lankan demand, but mainly for export markets, especially tires that we manufacture, pharmaceuticals and industrial products. So these are the 3 segments our future horizon rely on. And we believe the growth potentials are very much there, and also to earn foreign exchange that our country needs.
So your customer segments that you're looking at is outside Sri Lanka mainly,
Yeah.
the export market.
Yeah.
And when it comes to power, is it gas or?
We are into power. We are into power generations, that is renewable energy,
Right.
solar and wind. And we are looking at other renewable energy as well, in addition to hydro and solar. There are multiple opportunities in the region, say African continent and Asia. And LPG, of course, part of our diversification. We have world-class infrastructure set up in Hambantota port and our own ships, and trading and making Hambantota as a LPG hub in the Indian Ocean is something that we are very aggressively pursuing.
Great. And Mr. Wegapitiya, now when the industries are liberalizing, then you may not have the advantage you had when you started. So when that change happens, how do you make sure that you are still being competitive in the market? What is the advantage?
Liberalization doesn't frighten us. Inefficiencies do. Trade liberalization is something that all over the world developed economies advocate. We believe that competition is required. But you need to be efficient in your management processes. You need to be cost leader. You need to have innovative improvement within your organization. It could be processes, it could be technology, it could be new knowledge coming in. Once you are capable of adapting those changes, your agility to adapt, then liberalization is not going to frighten us. But we frighten because if you are not agile and capable of adapting to that.
So you have to welcome the changes and be agile to the changes. All right. So and the other thing I want to clarify is, now when you prioritize capital, yes, LAUGFS there are many industries that is highly capital intensive. So when you prioritize capital, How do you do that? Is it to give back to shareholders as dividends, or pay off debt, or invest in growth? What is your prioritization in that?
As a startup came through this journey over 30 years, in the beginning we didn't have capital. We were compelled to leverage ideas to borrow from the local market, financial institute. So borrowing is not a crime if you know how to leverage that to create more wealth. Unfortunately, last maybe 5 to 6 years, Sri Lanka was going through a series of unprecedented events, starting from Easter attack, then to COVID, then to economic disaster, and officially declaring Sri Lanka as a bankrupt nation. Those were very unprecedented events happen that changed our entire plan. And those incidents were beyond our control. We were not responsible for that. But during that period, we were compelled to adapt some unethical or if I may say, unacceptable strategies to stay afloat. For example, interest lending rates went from 8% to 30%. And during that time, some of our usually adapted strategies were compelled to change. Therefore, our balance sheets, like many other enterprises in Sri Lanka, balance sheets were not attractive. Our gearing ratios went to a very unacceptable level. But today, with the macroeconomic environment becoming more conducive and promising, we are deleveraging our balance sheets. We are divesting some of our strategic asset and bringing new capital into the system and bringing back that most acceptable level of our balance sheet, and then delivering benefits to our shareholder. Now, next 3 to 4 years, that's our aim. We will be listing some of our companies and raising funds from the market because the share market is very promising. Then some of our assets we are deleveraging, balance sheets are restructuring, internal structures are realigning. All these things are happening right now.
So there's a bit of restructuring happening in the group.
Definitely, yeah, I think.
And does that have any impact with the recent partnership that you got into, which was most talked after, that you got into a 50-50 partnership with another business tycoon, Mr. Wegapitiya?
That's part of it, actually. You're right. Equal partnership bring equal responsibility and equal commitment. I'm a long-term, if you take both of us are, long-term creators, not short-term traders. And our association bring a lot of synergies together. Me personally, I'm a long-term creator and entrepreneurially oriented person. And Dhammika brings precision financial processes and implementation. And he brings a lot of new ideas, technologies, and discipline in implementation. Together, vision and precision create a lot of new synergies. And when it comes to decision making, since we are 50-50, we have few fundamental principles adopted. Number one, data over emotions. Consensus over ego.
Okay.
Short-term versus long-term value creations. So when these are, this partnership is not about personalities. It's about purpose. So we both have a similar upbringing, background, but his way of doing business is different. But this equal partnership is going to take LAUGFS into the next level.
Okay. And you are talking about decision making. Now, when there are two very strong personalities, even though you say the personalities doesn't matter, it's about the purpose. How do you balance this when there is a 50-50 partnership? Who takes the decision? How do you decide that?
As mentioned, we have a strong governance structure.
Okay.
Every decision is made by respective boards. It comes from a business level, whether it is a diversification, whether it is a new expansion. It comes from the business with proper proper justification, numbers and strategies and the future perspective. And then it goes through a filter by an investment committee, where headed by a non-executive board. And they recommend it to the board with justification. So therefore, both myself and Dhammika doesn't have to argue or disagree on decisions. It's always based on numbers, facts, over emotions. I mean, naturally, all entrepreneurs are attached to their enterprises because it's like their children. They started sacrificing their time, blood, sweat, everything, and then when it comes to certain points, they have emotional attachment. But over a period of time, successful entrepreneurs should be able to unbutton that, looking at from a different perspective rather than looking at from an emotional perspective. This is what we are doing. I think both myself and Dhammika have matured through this journey to reach to that level. Therefore, we do not have any noise over decision making at the board level, and he doesn't interfere. We both have very strong, knowledgeable board members, take all the strategic decision, and we have capable CEOs, professionals working in the organization. Therefore, we don't have any issues of making decisions.
Wonderful. And Mr. Wegapitiya, now in that same thought process, if I may ask you, looking ahead for the next 5 to 10 years, what would be the future look like for LAUGFS?
Well, next, the future, of course, there are two aspects. Now, looking at future, every successful entrepreneur have to do three things prudently and proactively. One, in order to ensure the longevity and continuity, they need to ensure ownership succession and management succession. Now, when it comes to ownership succession, of course, the Sri Lankan and Asian culture is you pass it to your legitimate children. That also need to be professionally handled. Otherwise, most founding enterprises, when it comes to family businesses, only 30% survive to the second generation.
Correct.
And only 13% survive to the third generation. Less than 3% survive beyond the third generation. It's a global phenomena, and it has been empirically tested. It applied to me, to Dhammika, and everyone. So most sensible people, when an organization reaches to 25 years, like every other product, there is an expiry date for enterprises as well. Every company, the expiry date is 25 years. So when it reaches to 20 years, they need to do three essential things. One, succession plan. Who is going to take over the baton? Who is going to replace you? So professionalization is the world's most prudent and most successful strategy ensure long-term survival. When it comes to professionalization, it has two components. One, institutionalization of professional norms and practices, which comes systems, processes, all that. Secondly, bringing professionals into the management. And a lot of family businesses make a mistake by bringing their siblings into the management without making them ready. We have seen a lot of Sri Lankan companies that would have been going to the world class. Lot of strong brand collapse within the lifetime of the founder when they don't plan that. So professionalization is number one. You need to bring all that together. Number two, succession planning. How do you train? How do you prepare your children to become the next leaders? So right now we are in that stage. Now when you diversify, your diversification, so big companies are very complexly diversified. You need to have all that. So right now we are doing that and successfully doing that. I mean, this is not easy thing to do than saying, and many companies, that's why I said it's called 30-13-3 phenomena. So I too myself have faced, and Dhammika coming into that 50-50 is part of that process. So next few years we will be consolidating our position into strategic businesses. Okay, so we will be exiting some sectors, some we will be further strengthening and expanding and bringing new professionals and knowledge into the systems are going to happen.
Okay. And you were talking about the succession planning, and now your son is coming into the business. So as you said, now you started from maybe nothing, but it's not the same for your son. So how do you groom the next generation of leadership to take over the business?
It's a very complex subject. Now, there is a saying in family business textbooks: father entrepreneur, son playboy, grandson beggar. That's a true statement. So you need to realistically understand this is going to happen. Now, I came from a rural background where resources were zero. I had to walk 5 kilometers to my single building school. No running water, no electricity, and nothing. But my son was privileged to have everything. But you need to teach them the value of these principles. So my case, I have 3 sons. From the early days, I prepared them without giving unnecessary comforts, but the basic needs, and guiding them with certain principles. What I learned from my parents, I taught them, sending them to good schools, sending them to good overseas universities, allowing them to learn management principles, strategies. And then all 3, when they came back, one of my principles was they should work outside. So my eldest son worked for Virtusa for 3 years. Then during that time, I compelled all of them to do their MBAs.
Okay.
And then gave them seed capital to start their own business. They should learn. I mean, technically I wanted them to fail, but for some reason they have not failed. So that's how I groom them. But for me, when it comes to the management, I treat them as an employee, not as my son. So that relationship is outside of this premises.
Okay. I think that mindset ensures the future of LAUGFS is in good hands.
I hope so.
And in that sense, what would be your message to the shareholders who would be having a part of ownership on LAUGFS?
Well, actually, broad basing our ownership that we did by listing our company is to ensure that one, governance and discipline coming into it, management discipline. Secondly, sharing the wealth that we create. So next few years, of course, as I mentioned, last 5 years, we could not plan. Lot of challenges were, unexplainable challenges were there, which we had to, cruise through with very patience and discipline. Now, future is very bright, and we are now getting out of that difficulties, and shareholders will be benefited out of it.
Okay, wonderful. And last but not least, Mr. Wegapitiya, I like to ask you, what would be your advice to someone who's watching us and who want to start a business? Maybe someone who were there like 30 years before the place that you were at. What would be your advice on the
Okay,
entrepreneur?
3 pieces of advice, if I may say it. Start small, but think big. But continue relentlessly, pursue your dream to come true. Number 2, never compromise your integrity. That is the only powerful asset you have. Number 3 is that you always have to think how much of creation, wealth creation that you can do to yourself and to the society. Your responsibility toward your nation, your economy, are most important thing when you try to start a new business or new enterprise. Today, compared to the environment that we were exposed 30 years, the multiple opportunities. If you stay vigilant, if you stay focused and committed, the opportunities will find you.
Wonderful. That's very good advice. Thank you very much for that. And Mr. Wegapitiya, thank you so much for joining with us and finding time to share your vision, share your insights with us. And for anybody who is watching this, I think this interview will have a lot of lessons to learn. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and we will be meet soon again with another exciting episode of Ambeon Insights.